Imagine waking up tomorrow with the power to control the four forces that secretly run your entire life. Your mouth that destroys relationships with a single sentence. Your mood that turns good days into disasters for no reason. Your money that vanishes faster than you can earn it. And your mind that keeps you trapped in the same toxic patterns year after year. Right now, at this very moment, you're being controlled by these four things, and you don't even realize it. But what if I told you that 2,000 years ago, ancient philosophers discovered the exact formula to master all four, and it's simpler than you think? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, everything you thought you knew about self-control is about to change. Let's start with your mouth, because it's probably the most dangerous weapon you own, and you're firing it off multiple times every day without even thinking. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, wrote in his private journal that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your relationships is determined by the quality of your words. Think about the last argument you had. Was it really about what you thought it was about? Or did your mouth just run ahead of your brain? The Stoics understood something most people never figure out. Every word you speak is a choice, not a reaction. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you scream at them through the window, that's not passion, that's slavery. You just gave a complete stranger the remote control to your emotional state. When your partner says something that irritates you and you snap back instantly, you're not being honest, you're being controlled. Seneca said that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and nowhere is this more true than in our conversations. You imagine disrespect, so you speak disrespect. You imagine attack, so you counterattack. But here's the truth that will set you free. Between every stimulus and your response, there's a space. In that space is your power. The Stoics practiced something they called the discipline of assent. Before you speak, ask yourself three questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Notice I didn't say you have to answer yes to all three, but you need to ask them. Because most of the time, what you're about to say fails all three tests, and you say it anyway, because you think expressing yourself is more important than protecting your peace. Now let's talk about your mood, because this is where most people completely lose the game without even knowing they're playing. You wake up and check your phone. Someone didn't like your post. Boom, your mood drops. You get to work and your boss has that tone in their voice. Boom, your whole day is ruined. You come home and dinner isn't ready. Boom, you're angry and you don't even know why. This is what the Stoics called being a leaf in the wind, and it's the most exhausting way to live. Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming one of history's greatest teachers, said that people are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Read that again. Not by things, but by the views they take of them. Your mood isn't controlled by what happens to you. It's controlled by the story you tell yourself about what happens to you. Someone cuts you off in traffic. That's just a car changing lanes. But you tell yourself a story. They disrespected me. They think they're better than me. Now I'm angry and I'm going to tailgate them. See what happened? The event was neutral. Your story made it personal. Your mood is the result of that story, not the result of that car. The Stoic practice here is devastatingly simple, but incredibly hard. Separate facts from feelings. Your boss spoke to you in a certain tone. That's a fact. Your boss hates you and is trying to make your life miserable. That's a story. And here's the secret that changes everything. You get to choose which stories you believe. Most people think their emotions just happen to them like weather. But the Stoics knew better. Your emotions are the result of your judgments, and you control your judgments completely. This doesn't mean you become a robot, it means you become free. Let's move to money, because this is where the modern world has completely lost the plot, and ancient wisdom is more relevant than ever. You probably think you have a money problem. You don't have enough of it, or it disappears too fast, or you're stressed about it constantly. But the Stoics would tell you that you don't have a money problem. You have a desire problem. Marcus Aurelius was literally the richest man in the world, And he wrote that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Think about that. The Emperor of Rome is telling you that the path to wealth isn't making more, it's wanting less. Now, I'm not saying don't work hard or don't earn money. I'm saying that if you earn 100,000 and want 200,000, you're poor. But if you earn 50,000 and want 40,000, you're rich. The math isn't in your bank account. The math is in the gap between what you have and what you think you need. The Stoics practice something called voluntary discomfort. Once a month, Seneca would sleep on the floor, eat simple food, and wear his worst clothes. Why? To remind himself that the things he feared losing weren't actually necessary for his happiness. When was the last time you went without something you think you can't live without? Not because you had to, but because you chose to. That's power. The modern world has convinced you that you need a new phone every year, a bigger house, a better car, the latest everything. But every desire you add to your life is another chain you're wrapping around your freedom. The Stoics weren't against money, they were against being controlled by money. There's a huge difference. Control your money by controlling your wants, and you'll have more of both. Finally, let's talk about your mind, because this is the battlefield where everything else is won or lost. Your mind is running constantly, throwing thoughts at you like a tennis ball machine set to maximum speed. Most of these thoughts are garbage. Seriously, complete garbage. Worries about things that will never happen. Regrets about things you can't change. Judgments about people you barely know. Fantasies about futures that don't exist. And you believe all of it. You think that because a thought appears in your head, it must be important, it must be true, it must be addressed immediately. The Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. And when you realize this, you will find strength. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say you have power over your thoughts. Thoughts are going to come. That's what minds do. He said you have power over your mind, meaning you have power over what you do with those thoughts. This is the ultimate Stoic practice and the hardest one to master. Observing your thoughts without believing them. Your mind says you're a failure. Okay, that's a thought. Your mind says everyone is judging you. Okay, that's a thought. Your mind says you can't do this. Okay, that's a thought. You don't have to argue with these thoughts. You don't have to fight them. You just have to see them for what they are. Mental events. Not facts, not commands, not truth. Just neurons firing in patterns they've fired 1,000,000 times before. The Stoics called this the view from above. Imagine yourself from space, a tiny human on a tiny planet in a massive universe. How important is that embarrassing thing you said 3 years ago from that perspective? How crucial is it that you win this argument with your partner? How devastating is it that you didn't get that promotion? This isn't about making your problems seem small. It's about seeing them clearly without the distortion of ego and fear. So here's what mental mastery actually looks like. You control your mouth by creating space between impulse and speech. You control your mood by separating facts from the stories you tell about facts. You control your money by mastering your wants instead of chasing endless desires. And you control your mind by observing your thoughts without being enslaved by them. None of this is easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But here's what the Stoics understood that most people miss. Difficulty is not a reason to quit. Difficulty is the entire point. Every time you pause before speaking, you're building strength. Every time you choose a better story about your circumstances, you're building freedom. Every time you say no to something you want but don't need, you're building wealth. Every time you observe a toxic thought without believing it, you're building power. This is the work. This is the path. And it starts right now with the very next choice you make. If this video opened your eyes to something you needed to hear, drop a comment below and tell me which of the 4, mouth, mood, money, or mind, you're going to start working on today. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. because the people around you are fighting the same battles. They just don't know there's a 2,000-year-old solution waiting for them. The ancient Stoics gave us the map. Now it's up to you to walk the path.